Yo, what is up, guys? I never thought I would be here doing this again, but we are back for the rebirth of the Ace of Spada podcast. This is something that I am truly so excited to bring to you guys and bring back to you guys. This was a home for me for a very, very long time. When I recorded the first 238 episodes, it started in 2019 in a basement apartment in DC, doing an internship with the company I work for now, and it was brought by a vision to just help people who have gone through similar things that I went through. The bullying, the suicidal attempts, the anxiety, trying to just learn to navigate life and that there is much more hope out there for other people. There's something that I have tattooed on my back, and I know I've mentioned this before, so it might sound like a repeat, but it's Romans 5:4, where it says perseverance, character, hope. Now, what it does is, we go through our sufferings knowing that our sufferings produce character, and our persistence and perseverance creates hope through that. And our character and who we become creates hope. So when we're in those moments, and I'm a little bit rusty, so this is why you're kind of getting a little bit of Anthony here fully, is because I'm actually really nervous to do this. But to do that, that's where the origins of this all started, right? Is my character, who I am, the choices that I make, the people that I have on here as guests. Everyone ultimately is providing hope to you that you can create the life that you want to build, right? And you could become the person that you want to build, right? And I think this gives me a lot because I had to reflect a lot on this over the last year. I haven't recorded a podcast episode since April of 2024. So just over a year and a bit into it. And, it's a piece of me. Podcasting is a piece of me. Podcasting has always been a part of my life. It's gone through my evolution of becoming who I am, right? Starting in 2019 when I was just in college, a senior, trying to record 2 to 3 episodes a week, trying to always find new guests, trying to really push the limits over who I could find, who I could get on the show. And you can go through these episodes and you could see who I've had on. But there was a big disconnection there. There was a disconnection over myself and making choices for other people. And, I people pleased for a very, very long time. I people pleased for my whole life. Right? It was a survival mechanism that I used to ultimately try to make sure that I felt safe, make sure that my little self felt good and felt free and felt secure, right? It's my attachment wound. We'll go into some of those things as we go through, but I don't want to make it all about that. But I want to show that I'm back here with learning everything that I have over the last 7 years of doing this, 8 years now being 27. So nearly 8 years of doing this. And it's quite an experience because podcasting gives me an outlet to speak, to use my voice, to help question people, to see how they got to where they got to. I think a lot of us are always looking for answers. And this is the answer that I'm calling to right now, which is podcasting is my way forward. Podcasting is really my bread and butter. If I'm being honest, I love talking to people all day. I love hearing their stories. I love asking them really deep questions. I love seeing their journeys. And that's what I'm going to provide you guys again. And what I'm coming back with is just a more mature Anthony. This last year was filled with a lot of growth, a lot of challenges, really kind of making me look into myself and seeing where do I need to grow. Heck, the last 2 years have been that. But many people found that I started to record the Noble Pursuit podcast. And the one thing is I wanted to separate the brand from myself again. I think I've always done this, and this is where I've kind of trended the last few years, is everything goes along with the brand. The Ace of Spada brand was strictly my podcasting brand, was strictly me. There was nothing tied to it. There was no other mission tied to it other than the fact that I enjoyed it and I wanted to give this experience to the people that listen. And it's really cool because I logged in the other day to see this account, and where I have everything posted, and it's still getting views. It's still getting downloads. It's still getting listens. And it's a cool sign from God to just take it and go. And it's really funny because I got to credit my girlfriend, Becky, for this, because she has been paramount to my success over the last 4 months, over me completely changing my life over the last 5 months here. Now, where she brought up the other idea at night, she's like, well, why not just restart the Ace of Spada podcast? And I had to reflect on this to really kind of give it an answer, because for the last few years, this project became a project where I had my friends on, and then I stopped chasing after where I was. I stopped chasing the vision. I stopped seeing where it could go, right? I got comfortable in who I was recording with and what I was recording, and it provided great content. It provided stability. It provided a clarity amongst things, but it didn't allow myself to expand. And so I kind of lost the love for it. I truly, be honest, I lost the love for this. And I burnt myself out. I recorded, let's say, I recorded 270, 280 episodes of podcasting since I started, which is quite significant for a lot of people. I don't think people understand how much it takes to actually do one of these and to get them all scheduled. But I remember going back through and the first few months of really graduating school and really diving into this, I recorded 20 episodes in a month one time. Would never do that again, but I recorded that. And it was a great experience because it allowed me to connect with so many people and create the community and create a movement forward. And I saw where it could have went, and I saw where everything is. And I thought for a while, when I had to reflect, when she brought this idea of restarting this podcast, of am I trying to bring back something that I formerly did, or am I doing this for the right reason to help you guys, to help the people, to really kind of reignite something that I actually selfishly love doing, right? And I had to fight for that, because that's a big thing, because I don't want to show up as someone who is not authentic, who is not myself, who is not going to show you the way forward, whether it's through your mental health, whether it's through your physical health, whether it's through, your faith. All those things kind of culminate together to bring it into one. And so when I took a look back, she said it, and right in my head, there was a spark. And I haven't felt that in quite some time, to be honest. Like I said, this last year was filled with a lot of ups and downs. I've lost friends. I've struggled with coming to terms with a lot of things with myself, which I want to share more about as I continue to roll through this. And a few of the biggest things was how I showed up as a man in my life. I actually started to go to therapy. I actually started to handle the porn addiction that I have and that I had, right? And now I'm overcoming that. I've gotten into my faith with God after I think the last time I actually went to church was when I was 12. So I started to go to church regularly starting later last year. And, I find a lot of solace in that. I find a lot of peace. I find a lot of clarity within that realm. And my relationship with God has just expanded. And I'm trying to continually expand that. And, I'm declaring my faith here because it's really important to me. My faith has provided me so much over the last year, and so much guidance, and so much, strength to get through what I had to get through. And I got stuck for a while. I think this is also why I wanted to do this and why I wanted to record for this podcast specifically, is because I think a lot of us don't know the pathway forward. A lot of us don't know how to take a step forward, especially when we're struggling, right? We kind of just wake up and try to survive. That's what I was doing. I was waking up and I was trying to survive. I was not actually able to move through the vision that I had. And so she brought this up, right? Bringing this all around about. And I'm like, you know what? This has been something I've been contemplating on my mind for the last 3 years, the last 2 years. And it's really funny. Well, not really funny. It's actually quite incredible to see. If you go listen to that last episode, because I'm going to dive into this. If you go into that last episode and you hear what I was planning on doing, the shifts I was making in my life, every one of those shifts has started. And every one of those shifts has really started to come alive. Biggest thing that I've done is, I decided to go and get my master's in sports and performance psychology. I'm currently in that. I'm in my fifth semester, so a year in now at this point. Or fourth, yeah. And I'm almost about a year in. As of next month, I'll be a year in. And so, I take a look at that and I've gotten so much out of that. And I remember saying, hey, I'm going to go back to school to do that. So it was so cool to listen to this last episode because I had to see where I was. I've started to deal with the things inside me that also needed to be dealt with. I think a lot of men do not speak about this enough, and I want to be someone who really brings this to the forefront. It's come to the forefront recently over men's mental health. Men struggles with addiction, men struggles with their faith, men's just overall mental health towards how we're viewed, how we're allowed to express ourselves, how we're allowed to actually show ourselves in society. And I've always been someone who's outwardly expressed myself, right? You've probably have seen my post on Instagram. You've probably seen everything. I don't hide anything of my past. I just don't. It's not worth doing, because if I can't be authentically myself and the truth, then I can't show up for you guys. But I look at that and I started to just check off the boxes over where I was. And most importantly, as of recently, it's just, to get out of the rut and to get to this place right now where I'm recording this episode, I had to do a lot of choices and make a lot of choices that were for myself. I talked about it earlier. I struggled with people pleasing all my life. I struggled with trying to look a certain way, trying to be a certain way, trying to make sure that I showed up a specific way for people. And honestly, it caused me a lot of anxiety. It caused me a lot of stress in my life. And so to commit to doing this podcast again is committing to myself, right? It's committing to who I am, right? It's committing to what is me. And that is something that I wrote out the other day, is to get to where I want to get to. And for anybody to get to where they want to get to, right? This is a lesson for everybody, is we have to do. I'll probably make another one on this, but my ADHD is clicking in. But we have to do what is best for us and what choices we want to make. My therapist said this to me the other day, and I had this conversation multiple times now, but he said, practice being normal. And I had to take a look back and I had to be like, okay, what is actually normal? Because each of us has our own definition of that. Right? We're each different people. What we view, how we view things, how we make decisions, everything is different from each person. How we calculate what we do, right? And so practice being normal really means practice being the person that you want to be. Practice being the person that you want to grow into. And it's really funny because, it's kind of strange because I've had this podcast. It was really successful. I really was able to take it off, and like I had such great guests on and everything. And this was the pressure I kind of got myself into here. But I'm coming back here with a more mature self. I'm 27 now. I started that podcast when I was 19. So, like I said, almost 8 years. So I'm bringing way more life to it. And you guys got to see the evolution of me. I think that was the coolest part of that podcast. And it's one of the most beneficial parts of doing this now is I want to record and be able to see the evolution of how things go in life as my life starts to grow. For example, one of the biggest choices I had to make lately for things is leaving bodybuilding. And, it was probably one of the, if not the hardest choice I've had to make. The reason being is you guys have come along for this journey, and you guys know that I've been really into health and fitness. Heck, everybody on this podcast that I've had, I think is very much in the health and fitness space in some capacity, right? Because I truly think it's a discipline that is necessary for our lives, right? Health and wellness is a necessary component for everybody. And, you guys got to see 22-year-old Anthony turn into 25-year-old Anthony. You got to see the maturity in my voice. You got to see my mannerisms. You got to hear it all, right? I took a look back even at the first episode, and I'm like, man, I do not know what that voice is and who that person was, because like the confidence wasn't there. The ability to sit on this mic and talk with people for an hour wasn't originally there, right? I had to step into this unknown and do it and just go along with it and see where I wanted to take things. And I want to be able to record that again. I want to be able to have that there, but I want it to be able to show people, I talked about the bodybuilding choice, right? And I talked with my therapist about this too, again, because I'm authentically going to give you guys what I need is, I want to show people what happens when you make choices for you. What happens with life when you make choices for yourself, right? That's what practice being normal means, is we're all humans. We're all an N of one. And I'm going to dive more into these topics here as we go through these episodes and like where I want to go with this and the direction that I'm taking it. But we all make choices. We all have to make a choice each and every day. We make a choice to show up each and every day. You're making a choice right now to listen to this. You're actively making a choice, right? So when we're in this spot, I want to show people what it means to choose for themselves, to choose something that they love doing, no matter who's going to judge them, no matter what people are going to say, no matter how it may look on the outward. It matters over how you feel on the inside. Because, like I said, podcasting was one of, if not, actually, it is one of, I think it might actually be the greatest piece to my life that I have done. And I say that wholeheartedly because I am a coach. I do all these things. I have a successful business. I run a job. I have an incredible partner in my life right now. I have my Miss Penelope, Miss Penny, as many of you have seen probably on my stories. Hardest worker in the room. But, podcasting I owe a lot to. This avenue, this medium of communication, this medium of showing who I am, led me to creating the network that I have, led to a lot of the people that are in my life, a lot of the people that came through in my life, a lot of people that I've learned lessons from. I wouldn't have been able to open up those doors without this podcast specifically. So this is also an ode to my former self to continue this path, because he set out not knowing anything. He set out not knowing how far that actually would go. Heck, I didn't even know I get past 10 episodes when I first started. And I was like, cool, 238. And you know what? Sometimes I would just hop on the mic and do exactly this. And I love doing this where I just speak one-on-one. I am probably the most nervous right now because I haven't done this in forever. And I am worried if people are going to see this and, feel how people feel. I don't know how people are going to view this, but I just want to show and provide hope to those that, feel like they're a bit trapped, feel like they're stuck and not knowing where to go, and that you can have a choice and that you can make a choice to move forward. Right? That's what my brand, even the Noble Pursuit, is based on, is, hey, you have to take steps to becoming the best version of yourself possible. It's a noble pursuit. But I'm separating that because I want something that, like I said, is just me. There's nothing else tied to it. There's no business related things tied to it. It's just for the love of the game, as I would say. It's for the love of the game, for the love of podcasting, for the love of recording, for the love of myself. And I'm going back to mention, I'm in the master's program. I'm healing myself. I'm moving forward in those avenues with coming to terms with my addictions and those things, which I will gladly discuss about as I continue to move through this venture, because I want to talk about my faith. I want to talk about my addictions. I want to talk about where I need to improve. And, it's crazy to see the evolution I have with myself over those things and decisions that I've made, especially, like I said, I had to make a choice to stop bodybuilding. And it was one of the hardest choices I've had to make because, like I said, since I've been 22, I've been in bodybuilding. For the last 5 years, I've been in bodybuilding. It was literally 5 years to the day to when things kind of went downhill for me. I had to get a surgery on my appendix, but that came with some heart issues. I had a few arrhythmias. I had a few heart palpitations, and it caused a lot of stir in terms of myself. It caused a lot of concern, knowing that my family has heart issues historically. With my grandpa and my great grandpa both dying of heart attacks, I had to take a look over things. And, I came so far to where I was. And I think one thing that ultimately hit was not being able to step on stage. Like, I wanted to do it so I could step on stage and validate myself as a bodybuilder. But then I took a look and, getting all this testing done, seeing that there's still some issues with my heart and those things, the recovery of this all and trying to overcome another big surgery for myself. Because 2 years ago, I had a surgery on a cyst on my tailbone, which took me about 6-7 months to fully recover from. And that was really difficult because I had a lot of pain sitting down. I literally worked through an inflamed cyst. I worked out through an inflamed cyst for like 4 years straight. And I didn't really know it at the time. It would come up and down, but it caused a lot of pain. So a lot of people don't realize the amount of stress I put on my body during that time to bodybuild, put a lot of tension on my body. There was a lot of stuff going on. And now this one, just seeing the heart issues, it kind of just cleared to me that, I'm okay with stepping in another direction. And I think that's also what I want to show people too as well. That industry and this industry, which I love bodybuilding, and there's no crap talking about it because this is my health issues. It's not because of bodybuilding. It's because of historically just I've had heart issues there that have been underlying for a long time, I think, and they weren't discussed before. And, I want people to know that you don't have to get validated as a bodybuilder to be a good coach. You don't have to be validated as a bodybuilder to be worth anything. You don't have to step on stage. I showed up for 5 years. Was I perfect during all of it? Heck no. There were a lot of times where I wasn't. But for 5 years, I showed up consistently as a bodybuilder. Right? That was one trait my friend actually always brought up was, hey, you show up. And I do. And I did it because I loved it. I showed up because it's the one avenue that was consistent for me. And to step away from that was very difficult. But to understand that, hey, I'm not defined as a bodybuilder. I'm defined by what I allow in my life and what pieces of my life I allow to expand and what I allow to choose to do. And so, I've picked up running. I've done the whole hybrid training thing that people are doing. No, I haven't even been able to lift yet to get back into everything, but I've been running to kind of strengthen my heart. Fortunately, my doctors gave me clearance to run. But I've worked on doing that because I want to go into an avenue to which I suck at. I suck at running. I suck at cardio pieces. Maybe it has to deal with heart issues probably, but looking at it, I'm like, man, I've never been good at running. I never even ridden a bike before. So like, I'm trying to go and do those things and hopefully do a triathlon, run a marathon, but also still maintain the muscle mass that I have. Like, I'm not just going to let my body kind of wither away. Like, I want to overall just encompass fitness into my life in a way that I want to now. In a way that is healthy for me, healthy for my body to respond properly. And like I said, I'm here because I made that choice. I'm here recording this to show you that I made that choice and that you can make that choice if you decide, right? So if there's something that you're stuck in and that you feel like you need to do and that you feel like to be valued, to be appreciated for who you are, to be, a contributing member of your community, right? You don't always need to do that. You don't always need to go for the validation. You don't always need to go for the people pleasing, because all in all, in the end, it just is added stress to your body. And it's something where, I've learned a lot about brain function, chemistry, how things start to work, the neurofunctions of our body and how it interacts with everything. And, I suffered from gut issues. I suffered from hormonal issues. I suffered from stress issues. I had severe anxiety. I had all these things. And I've come to a lot of peace by just making choices for myself. And my body has responded significantly. Your body will be less inflamed. Your brain will be more clear, right? Because that connection there, when you start to think about all those decisions that you want to make and you're not making, that signals from your mind to your body that you're unsafe, that there's no trust. Because that is the literal correlation of health, is trust between the body and the mind. Because we can push PEDs all day, we can do all these things, we could take all these supplements all day, and I've seen it firsthand, I've seen it working with people, I've seen it for myself, is we can take everything under the sun, we can do everything possible, but if we don't align the mind and the body, there is no trust in the body, there is no healing happening, there is nothing to move forward. And this is something that I talk a lot about, is creating that trust. That's how we create safety between it. That's how women get their cycles back. That's how men build their testosterone. That's how people improve their gut health. It's not just the supplements. It's the mental space. And I can't wait to dive into this more with you guys, because this is the avenue that I am bringing to this industry. And this is the way forward for where the Noble Pursuit is going. The way that this podcast will go is expanding your mental capacity, is expanding into who you can be through the mental components. I'm spending a lot of time doing this master's program. I'm spending a lot of time going into becoming a certified mental performance consultant, a CMPC for short, to get certified. Maybe one day I'll become Dr. Spada, who knows? But I'm here because I want to provide those tools for you guys. I want to be a leader in that space that doesn't have a leader right now in the health and fitness industry, especially in the United States. And it's very difficult because of rules and regulations, but you have to kind of figure that out. And I'm here to just do this. Recording this has me amped. The more I get into this, the more confident I get, because I'm like, damn, dude, was I going to be able to even speak for 30 minutes? I have no clue. I had no exact clue. I had no clue where this was going to go. But I'm just speaking through myself. And I'm here to show you that even when you have challenges, I haven't shown up the best way as I possibly could. I've been in situations to where I was having panic attacks, anxiety attacks in the last year. I'm here to show that that's part of life. When you go through significant challenges and you don't know how to properly approach them, it really starts to show. And it starts to show where you can improve and where you have to make sure that you choose yourself. And this podcast is me doing that. This podcast is actually me choosing you, because this one I can get excited about. I was so nervous to do this. And I know I repeated myself, my ADHD, but I actually wanted to do this episode for the last 8 weeks. I had in my head to restart this podcast. I didn't expect it to be the Ace of Spada podcast, but I expected to start restarting podcasting here because it's one of the greatest joys of my life. It's provided me so much. I owe it a medium and I owe it an avenue to get better in this space. And I owe it to the people that have always supported me, the people who are listening to this currently. You guys deserve to see me as the best version of myself. And this is him. This is me. Fully through. Like the Ace of Spada. Like when I came to this, it was my Twitter handle. That's how I came up with the title. For everybody that wants to know, that's exactly where it came from, is a Twitter handle that I made when I was 17. And then it came into the mission of become the ace in the deck of cards known as life. I know that's a really corny slogan, but it's a dope slogan because I love it so much. And if you're watching on YouTube, you could see me smiling because it just brings back such good feelings for me and memories for me over my experience in my life over the last 7 years. And so, that's the mission for this. The mission is to come back home to myself. The mission is to provide you guys with quality content. Me in long form. Me doing this because I want to show you how to get better mentally and physically. Blending that all together. Blending all the knowledge I've gained as a coach over the last 7 years into the mental side and how it all connects, and bringing that about, how to change your mindset, how to change your orientation, try to change how you view things and how you go about your life. And I'm so excited about this. The more I start recording this episode, the more I'm excited about this. So I think I'm just rambling on at this point, but this is the first episode down. I, again, didn't know how long I would record for, but 30 minutes is quite plenty for everything. It's going to take me some time to get this going. It's going to take me a little bit to go again and to get this moving. And, I want to show you that you can come home to yourself. You can choose for you. And it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks, because it's your life. Right? This is you becoming the ace in the deck of cards known as life, not anybody else. This is about you becoming an ace. This is about you becoming the best version of yourself possible. And we're going to go on that journey together again. I'm going to get guests on who I want to have on. I'm going to figure out a way to blow this podcast back up. And I'm going to do it with the support of you guys and sharing the podcast and really going along with the vision of it. And I'm setting that tone now because I'm holding myself to a standard that I want to hit. Right? I'm holding myself to the Anthony that is here now, to the Anthony that was 19 years old. He had a mission. I have a mission to fulfill for him and still keep going. So I think that's a good way to end this episode. I think we're right on the money with where we need to be. Enjoy my quirky little notes and everything. I kind of just ripped this one right. I just ripped the Band-Aid off and kind of just went with this. I have no clue what I was going to talk about today. But I'm going to talk about over the struggles of the last few years. I'm going to talk about those things. I'm going to talk about the battles of the choices, my battles with addictions, my faith, integrating all of this into this podcast, because it's a crucial, important part of my life that I want to show in this way that can really help all of you. And so that's where we're going to go. We're going to all work to become ace in the deck of cards known as life. All right. So, if you guys do, I appreciate you sharing. I appreciate you listening. I can't thank you guys enough for being involved with this again and coming along the ride for this, because it literally feels like a rebirth. It feels like an ability to just showcase myself fully and allow myself to give this to you guys, to give you guys hope, to give you guys some information, to give you guys some knowledge bombs, to do all these things, right? And so we're going to do it. So I appreciate you guys listening. If you share it, I really do appreciate it. Tag me on your story. If you guys have anybody that you want to see, message me on Instagram. You can find me at Anthony_Spada_. If you want to leave a review, leave a review. Message me if you guys want to support this too as well. I'm going to work with it and see how things go. But you're coming along this journey of Anthony is out of the bodybuilding, out of doing bodybuilding himself. Anthony is choosing himself. And so that's where we're going. That's where this podcast is going, is to get you guys dope guests, to get you guys people I want to have on, to literally give you guys the tools to become the best version of yourself. And yeah, we'll move from there. So recorded this on a Sunday morning. I don't know when this will be up, but I appreciate you guys listening. Stay tuned to the podcast.